Final score, Auburn 94, Alabama 85. John Fanta, Jeff Goodman, Rob Douster with you for the next hour. Then, of course, we'll have our afters. We have a loaded Saturday show, but we're not going to waste any time. Jeff Goodman, your reaction to a 1-versus-2 showdown that was an elite atmosphere. Alabama punched back, but Auburn held them off. What's your reaction?
Auburn continues over and over and over to both surprise and impress me. They've done it all year from the start of the year when, they beat Houston after the horseplay on the flight, and they did it again tonight by going into Tuscaloosa and not just winning, but really controlling that game for the most part. And they did it really with a combination of defense, because they did a hell of a job. I mean, listen, Denver Jones did a great job, probably the best job anybody's done on Mark Sears all year, frustrating him. And that's the key, right? Mark Sears has to dominate his matchup. And instead, to me, again, he got outplayed on both ends of the court by Denver Jones. And Alabama can't have that, especially at home. And then I just thought, again, Mark Sears, if things are going well for Mark Sears, he's great. But when there's adversity, that's when sometimes Mark Sears starts to make some poor decisions, hunt his own shot rather than just starting to get his teammates involved, which is what he probably should have done tonight.
Yeah, the thing that really impressed me the most, Fanta, is I feel like people are going to talk about what Auburn did defensively here. Alabama was 5 for 26 from 3. They shot 50% from inside the arc when they are one of the best 2-point shooting teams in college basketball this year. Denver Jones, obviously, Mark Sears. But to me, the thing that stands out so much every single time that I watch this Auburn team play is how many ways and how many different styles of offense they can run to be able to beat you, right? If they want to run these ball screen sets for Janai Broome, where they're trying to get him on the move and they're trying to get him to roll to the basket, and they're looking for those lobs, and they're looking for to be able to get him touches when he's on the move, rolling to the rim. They can do that. When they want to run those sets to be able to get Miles Kelly running off of a screen or Denver Jones running off of a screen to get them into a 3, they can do that. When all else fails, and they just want to go Chad Baker or Mazzara iso ball, they can do that. When they want to spread the floor and give the ball to Tahad Pettiford and just say, all right, look, we're going to put you in a high ball screen. You go figure it out. Go make it work. Go get us a bucket here. They can do that too. And you can't stop them anywhere. Like I feel when we talk about Auburn and when we think about Auburn and when we think about Bruce Pearl teams, about what they do defensively, right? And it's not like they're not good on that end of the floor, but this team right now, this Auburn team right now is on pace to be the single best offensive team that we have seen in the KenPom era. And I just don't think that is getting enough credit for what they do on that end of the floor and how many different ways they can beat you. They went into Coleman Coliseum, right? You can talk to beat writers that have been there for a long time. That was the craziest environment they've seen for an Alabama basketball game ever. And Auburn went in there, punched him in the mouth, and never really looked back. It was the first time in Nate Oates' tenure they did not lead in that building in his time in Tuscaloosa. Incredible performance from the Tigers.
It is. And you know what? I agree with you on this. The offensive part of the game. We knew that this was most efficient offense against highest scoring offense. So the thought was, well, who's got a better team defensively? And on paper, it was Auburn coming into the game. Alabama had won 7 in a row, but they had done it by scoring at least 100 points in 3 of those games. And I think, Jeff, and we're going to have Bruce Pearl in a few moments, but you could sense the pride he had with Denver Jones in this game. That Denver Jones said, I'm going to take on Mark Sears. I'm going to make life difficult for him when he's on offense. We're going to make him uncomfortable. And it felt like, Jeff, throughout the game, Bruce Pearl said, I'm willing to live with even an and 1-2, because it meant they're going to have to earn it at the free throw line. I'm willing to live with them driving to the basket a few times. If they get some more points to the paint as a result, that's fine. But I am not letting the home team make those explosive threes that swing a game in a direction.
Yeah, I mean, as Rob said, they've got a lot of weapons on both ends of the court. That's the beauty of this Auburn team is and I think they've got some guys that, again, mentally are tough and don't give a shit, right? It starts with Janai Broom, certainly, but you look at Pettiford and the way he plays and the fearlessness that he shows. Chad Baker Mazzara doesn't care. I mean, we saw him at Duke, even though they lost. Like, he loves that moment. So they've got some tough dudes, both mentally and physically. And Alabama's still, I think, trying to figure themselves out. It's kind of late
What
in
do
the
you
year,
mean
but
by
I
that?
still think.
What do you mean by that?
Well,
What would you still be figuring out if you were them?
I mean, again, you lost, right? So I know it was a long time ago, right? It's been December, January, part of February. You brought back Youngblood. You've been without Darion Reed for a stretch here. Again, Phylon's been a little bit up and down throughout the course of the season. He came out like gangbusters and has settled down a little bit. You don't know what to do with Big Cliff, right? He doesn't really fit, but he, obviously he gives you something different, a different dimension that you certainly lacked last year defensively and protecting the rim. But I still think the key to this team is Mark Sears. And is he going to step up and sacrifice more than he has at times? Because, man, when he does and he drives to make people better and he makes the right reads and the right decisions, there aren't 2 or 3 guards better than him in the country. But tonight he didn't do that. He was hunting again. And I think that's the problem sometimes with Mark Sears. Instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to drive the kick because my teammates are going to get easy shots when I do that. Sometimes, especially when he's frustrated early, I think he pushes it instead of saying, hey, you know what, may not be my night.
So I agree with you on the Mark Sears thing. I think a lot of that credit for his frustration needs to go to Auburn. One,
Sure.
Denver Jones is a terrific ball defender. Two, like the Auburn's game plan is basically run you off of the 3-point line and go deal with the fact that you got Janai Broom and Dylan Cardwell and Chaney Johnson waiting around the rim. And Alabama's whole thing is we're going to shoot threes or drive to the basket. It ends up being a matchup defensively that I think works out really well for Auburn. But the one thing I do want to disagree on is I think Alabama knows who they are, right? And they're a team that has been the same kind of team for the last 4 years since Nate Oates got there. And this year, they're a little bit more, we're going to crash the glass. We're going to take advantage of the fact that we got Cliff Amore and we got Mohamed Diabate and we got some of these athletes that can get to the basket. We're going to be more of finish around the rim, get offensive rebounds, spray out for threes, and they've been kind of in the past where it's drive and kick and look for somebody open. I think the fact that they are 21-4 overall right now and 10-2 in this SEC, which is just so ridiculously tough, is proof of that. And losing at home to this Auburn team, like this version of Auburn, I don't think that there's any. I don't think it says anything about you beyond the fact that you're not quite as good as the best team in college basketball right now. That's the only. That's where I'm at with Alabama. Like at some point, you kind of just have to tip your cap and say, okay, that team right there, that's the best team in college basketball, and they have a very real chance to win a national championship. That I think that they've kind of the big addition has been Youngblood because he's kind of helped. He's added another shooter. He's added another defender. He's been a little bit more switchable, and they can pace and space it a little bit more than they have in the past. But I mean, it's Auburn, man. Like this Auburn team. What was the stat? They've played 8 of the top 10 teams in America right now, right? Or there's 7 of the top 10 teams in America, and then they're going to go play Texas A&M, and they still got Alabama again, and they're sitting here at 23-2. How many teams in the history of the sport could do that?